Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kayla and I make videos about all things BPD. Today I want to explore the self-destructive BPD. I've already made videos about the 3 other subtypes, so hopefully today's information will help you understand it and yourself better. The first symptom that I want to talk about is this whole notion of unstable emotions. And this is pretty self-explanatory. One moment they feel good, the next moment they don't feel like people love them. The next second they feel okay again, and then they don't feel like people like them. It's very up and down, it's very roller coaster emotions all over the place. And yes, this is a common feature of most people who have BPD, but we see this a lot more intensely in this specific subtype. The next symptom, which is something that is specifically dedicated to the self-destructive BPD, is that they don't care about themselves because they don't feel like others care about them. Now, because their entire value is placed on how others define them, and if fundamentally they don't feel like others can love them, then they're not going to care about their own well-being, which means that they put their own self-care, self-worth, their own values aside because they don't believe that they're worthy enough of investing positive emotional energy into those things. Another symptom is that they lack a stable identity or sense of self. Now, once again, if you fundamentally feel like you're not worthy and you're placing your entire value in how others define you, paired with this unstable emotions, it's going to be very hard to grasp who you are as a person. So we see this as a defining characteristic of the self-destructive BPD. And usually with this subtype, we see that they often feel very low, very poorly about themselves. They're often very upset. And so they have a difficult time having any sort of positive identification with their self-identity. Another thing that we often see is this tendency to self-sabotage. Now, if you take someone who feels very down and low about themselves and they don't feel like they're worthy of happiness or joy, as soon as they experience any kind of positive affect, they're going to automatically self-sabotage because they don't feel like this fits the model that they have about themselves. For example, you might have had an amazing weekend or dinner with your partner, and at the end they turn around and start an argument. Now, this is because as soon as they feel an ounce of joy or happiness, it doesn't fit their schema that they have about themselves or their life, so they're going to automatically shut it down. Unfortunately, for a lot of us who have BPD, this is a learned response. And if we just learn how to increase our awareness that we probably feel so low and poorly about ourselves, and this is why things are happening, we might learn how to slow down and stop this automatic learned response we have to things. Another symptom that we often see, as I mentioned earlier, is this tendency to lack self-care. Now, fundamentally, people with this specific subtype don't see themselves as valuable or deserving of self-care. So if they don't see the purpose of taking care of themselves, they might end up feeling bad when they try to practice self-care, because they don't know why they're doing it and they justify it as I could be doing other things that are more valuable than myself. Now, the next symptom is really the defining characteristic of the self-destructive BPD, and that is depression. Depression in these individuals is felt more often than not and comes from these internal feelings of self-hatred and self-anger. Now, similarly to quiet BPD, self-destructive BPD is also an internalizing subtype, which means that most of these symptoms are felt internally. And you might be wondering, well, what is the difference between the two? The main difference is that individuals with quiet BPD are known as high-performing, high-functioning. You might look at them and not even know that they have a specific disorder. Conversely, with the self-destructive BPD, they are completely knocked out by their depression. This is something that might render them as unable to hold down jobs, unable to perform, unable to take care of themselves, whereas with the quiet BPD, we don't see that. We see individuals who can work, who hold down jobs for long periods of time, who maybe even take care of themselves regularly, but still deal with this internal turmoil. The last symptom I'm going to talk about is this tendency to self-harm. Now, it's not all folks who have BPD who experience this, but with the self-destructive subtype, this is right on. Because they have this tendency to feel so poorly about themselves, they might also have this tendency to self-harm. So whether that's having suicidal thoughts, having suicidal plans, attempts, self-mutilating, self-harming behaviors, this is really a problematic symptom for this subtype. I hope this video helped you because we want to get the word out there. We want to get an understanding and knowledge out there so that we can help break down this stigma. BPD is not just an umbrella term for everyone. We see a lot of different subtypes and manifestations of them. So having a better understanding and awareness of the subtypes can help us identify in ourselves and in others what are the symptoms and behaviors that we specifically are struggling with. This better allows us to understand why individuals act the way that they do, why they respond a certain way, and why they see the world through specific lenses. As always, if you found this video useful, I encourage you to give it a like, and if you're not already, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below as well as the bell notification up top to get notified when I post new videos every Monday. On that note, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back here next time for another episode of On the Line.